as the game gets underway. And we start with the Saints returning the kick, and this is Taysom Hill, and what a story he is. Plenty about that tonight, running it back out to the 20-yard line. So Minnesota won the toss, deferred. Here comes Brees, and here's the Saints offense.
Drew Brees, Boilermaker.
Mark Ingram, Alabama.
Alvin Kamara, the University of Tennessee.
Michael Thomas, The Ohio State.
Traquan Smith, UCF.
Benjamin Watson, Georgia.
Teron Armstead, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Andrews Pete, Stanford.
Max Unger, Oregon.
Larry Warford, University of Kentucky.
Ryan Ramczyk, Wisconsin.
The tackles are great. Armstead as athletic as they come. Unger is the ex-Seahawk who came here in the deal that sent Jimmy Graham to Seattle a few years back. Number 2 scoring offense. Only the Chiefs average more points per game. And they start on the ground. They have both Ingram and Kamara, and that's a gain for Kamara of about 2.5. So Drew Brees' completion percentage is terrific. He's the all-time leader in that category. 13 touchdowns, no interceptions. And that rating you saw is number 1 in the league. Ingram is now the back. They use both Kamara and Ingram, both extremely proficient. Brees' first pass of the night is caught, but a little short of the first down with Traquan Smith, a rookie from Central Florida. 3rd and short as we take a look at the Minnesota defense.
Stephen Weatherly, Vanderbilt.
Linval Joseph, East Carolina.
Sheldon Richardson, Mizzou. Daniil Hunter, LSU.
Eric Wilson, Cincinnati.
Eric Hendricks, UCLA.
Ben Gideon, Michigan.
Trey Waynes, Michigan State.
Georgia Loca, Boise State.
Harrison Smith, Notre Dame.
Holton Hill, Texas.
Hill, a rookie 3rd down defense. Only 4 first downs allowed on 32 attempts over the last 3 games. So the Vikings, great in this type of situation, as we see what Brees has in store here, and he puts it right on the money along the sideline to Michael Thomas for a first down. Trey Waynes, good coverage, but they rule him inbounds to the consternation of the crowd. Here it is again.
I tell you, this Michael Thomas is absolutely amazing. His ability to catch the ball in contested situations, and it looked like he got that 2nd foot down. One more look here, 1, 2. Now remember, that heel-toe thing comes into play. If his toe came down and his heel hit out of bounds, he would be out of bounds. Terry, am I right?
Minnesota is challenging the ruling of the field of a completed pass.
We'll get Terry to weigh in a second. Terry McAulay. Meantime, there's a challenge early in the game.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is 1st down and 10 New Orleans. Minnesota will be charged with his first team timeout and his first challenge.
There was the announcement from Craig Rolstad, so it is a first down. Minnesota charged with a timeout. No big deal in the first half, but a big deal is they only have 1 challenge the rest of the game, period. So it's a first down, and to the outside goes Ingram for a gain of 1. That call was made from New York. Terry McAulay with us upstairs. So Terry, the replay system was malfunctioning. Then what happens?
Then New York just takes over. They make the decision in the command center in New York either way.
Okay. And Craig Rolstad had a good look at the big board here, which made it pretty clear that he was in.
Here we go. Taysom Hill at quarterback.
There he is, Taysom Hill, 28 years old, out of Brigham Young. He can play quarterback, tailback, fullback, slot, wide out, you name it. You got 3 receivers, including Drew Brees, to the top of the screen.
Got him.
And Hill with a big arm, deep downfield, underthrows it a little bit. A flag is thrown, and that's Thomas coming back to make the catch. And he is inside the 10, pending the call.
Well, when this guy comes in the game, everybody's thinking some kind of a run, and so defensively they start playing very flat. Just a simple drop back pass and ran by everybody.
Pass interference. Defense, number 22. That penalty has been declined. The result of the play is a first down.
And now the amazing thing about it is the fastest guy on the football team is a quarterback. Taysom Hill is the fastest player on that team, and that ball is skidding along the turf a little bit, but it looked like control.
Freakish, boy. How do you, if you challenge it now, you're out of challenges.
I'd rather challenge that one than the other one.
Yeah, it's a 44-yard gain, but there's no flag.
But you still had pass interference. So.
Right, on top of it, after the play, and now you've got timeout here. Taken by whom? Or by what? Meanwhile, Rolstead is going over to check with a couple of his compadres. So we've had a replay malfunction already. We'll get word, I'm sure, in a minute as to what this is all about.
It's pretty amazing that Taysom Hill has had the kind of impact that he's had already. And you think of him as a runner and just showed off his arm.
Reset the play clock to 25. That's the first thing they'll do here. I mean, Taysom Hill, what a story this guy has become. By the way, of the 22 snaps he had taken at quarterback to this point this year, 21 had been runs. Then he airs it out and gains 44. So it's first down and goal. Now they go more conventional with Breeze under center. Kamara is the running back. That's Traquan Smith setting up on the left side. And they give the ball to last year's offensive rookie of the year, and he takes the ball for a gain of 5 to the 3. It'll be second down and goal for the Saints.
You know, everybody thinks about Alvin Kamara as this elusive back, and he certainly is that great receiver. But he proved last week, and he's proved throughout, that when it's time to get down around the goal line and pick up some of those dirty yards, he is certainly willing to put his head down and go get them.
Now take a look at this. Teddy Bridgewater is in the game. You've got 3 quarterbacks in the game right now. That's Breeze set to the left. You got Bridgewater to the right. You got Hill trying to run his way across the goal line, and he only picks up about 1. So leave it to Sean Payton. Have you ever seen 3 quarterbacks in the game at the same time?
No. So they're going to be split wide to each side. On the left-hand side, he's out there to the right. Drew Brees is all the way down to the left, and Taysom Hill is in the backfield. And now comes a huge third down, and this is where the Vikings have been so tough.
Good luck preparing for these guys these days. Third down and goal from the 3. Little shovel to Kamara, and he will bend his way into the end zone for a touchdown. Doesn't take the Saints long as they return to the scene of the crime from last January to go 81 yards in 8 plays.
Everybody's favorite play if you're a quarterback. Just catch it and toss it, and it counts as a touchdown pass if you get in. Just one-on-one blocking on the outside. Every wide receiver had one guy he had to take care of. They took care of it, and a great opening drive for the New Orleans Saints.
Takes 4 minutes 27 seconds. Will Lutz for the point after. Thomas Morstead puts it down, and the kick is just good inside the right upright. So Hill in the game. 44-yard pass. In they go for the score. 7-0 New Orleans. Sean Payton with that offense. Brilliant drive. 4 runs, 4 passes. Drew Brees sitting with Teddy Bridgewater, who a couple of years ago it looked like he would be the quarterback here for a long time. Gruesome knee injury. Sent him to the Jets, and then the Jets traded him early this year to the Saints. Here's the kickoff. Fielded a yard in. This is Rock Thomas, who's going to come back from the end zone. Flag is thrown from behind the play, and he's taken down to the 21-yard line.
Looked like Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Brees were over there arguing who is the more eligible receiver on that play.
Personal foul. Illegal double team block. Minnesota number 44. That's half the distance to the goal. First down.
All right, let's take a look right now at the Minnesota offense.
Kirk Cousins, Michigan State.
Latavius Murray, Central Florida.
Adam Thielen, Minnesota State, Mankato.
Stephon Diggs, University of Maryland.
Laquan Treadwell, Ole Miss.
Kyle Rudolph, Notre Dame.
Rashad Hill, Southern Miss.
Danny Isadora, the U.
Pat Elfline, The Ohio State University.
Mike Remmers, Oregon State.
Brian O'Neill, Pittsburgh.
Rookie on the right side at right tackle. This drive starts from the 9-yard line on play action. And Cousins fires. That's caught right off the bat, a first down. Adam Thielen. I mean, most of you who follow football know this story. This is a guy undrafted, played at Minnesota State, was in a tryout camp, made the team, and all he's doing right now is leading the league in receiving yards and on pace to break the all-time record for most catches in a season.
He came into the game with 88 targets, 12 more than any other player in the National Football League.
First down up at the 23-yard line after a gain of 14. And now Murray had a big day last week at the Meadowlands against the Jets. To the 29-yard line, A.J. Klein makes the tackle. So Kirk Cousins comes over. He's been franchise tagged by the Redskins over the past 2 years. His completion percentage good. 14 TDs and 3 picks, and the pass rating is a little bit above the league average.
Hey, right two.
It's Cam Jordan, stalwart on the defensive line for the Saints. Second down and 4. Cousins, good protection, and then that's tipped. And that is nothing new. The ball is tipped. You've got a flag down as well at the 45-yard line, but Cousins throws a lot of passes that are deflected or batted.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Defense number 26. That's a 5-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
And it's on P.J. Williams.
A lot of moving parts back there in the secondary right now. There's P.J. Williams right there. He is going to be the slot. They make the trade this week for Eli Apple. You can see the grab right there. And Eli Apple is going to settle in on the outside and play the outside cornerback. And there you see the pass getting deflected again for Cousins.
Now this is Michael Boone, a rookie who is the backup running back. Another flag. Dalvin Cook is their #1 back, but he's hurt. He's only played in a couple of games this year. Murray's been doing very well.
Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty replay. First down.
And that's Mike Remmers, the former Carolina Panther. So Mike Zimmer, who's come here, defensive pedigree. Good success so far in his reign here in Minnesota. Got him to the NFC Championship game last season. Of course, the Vikings franchise, founded back in 1960 and still looking for that elusive Super Bowl trophy. Been there 4 times, 0-4. From the 24 on 1st and 20. Murray. And Latavius Murray came over last year from Oakland with a good run. It's a gain of about 12 to make it second down and 8.
Pat Elfline, the center, gets out and makes all kinds of blocks. Watch him pull around from the center position, up and in. Secures the first one to his left, gets one more, gets 2 more on the way down. That's how you break off a long run.
Opened up that hole. Makes it second down and 8. And they call that number again, and there he goes again. Latavius Murray needed 8, got 9 behind Isadora and Hill on the left side in the first down.
Well, and what makes this so impressive is the New Orleans Saints are the #1 run defense in football. And the one thing they wanted to do tonight against the Minnesota Vikings is to shut down that running game, because they feel like they have a huge advantage rushing the passer. There's their left tackle, Rashad Hill, who is going to struggle in pass protection, but nice run block.
Now the running back is Rock Thomas, a rookie from Jacksonville State. And Thomas will get banged down as he reaches the line of scrimmage, and that's Cam Jordan, now in his 8th year. Father Steve played here in Minnesota for many years, and this guy is a stud.
He is, and he's so athletic, it's absolutely amazing. Watch him get off of the crackback block that's coming down, almost no way to see it from Kyle Rudolph. Completely avoids that and makes that tackle for no gain. Remarkable play.
Actually got him behind the line of scrimmage. It'll count as a tackle for a loss for him, and it's second down 11. 7-0 New Orleans, about halfway through the opening quarter.
It's all right. Hey, Sunday.
Cousins flips it out to the left side. That's the tight end, Kyle Rudolph. Tackled by Demario Davis. Let's take a look at that Saint defense.
Cameron Jordan, UC Berkeley.
Tyler Davison, Fresno State.
Sheldon Rankins, Louisville.
Alex Okafor, Texas.
AJ Klein, Iowa State.
Manti Te'o, University of Notre Dame.
DeMario Davis, Brandon High School.
Eli Apple, The Ohio State University.
Kirk Coleman, The Ohio State University.
Marcus Williams, University of Utah. Marshawn Lattimore, The Ohio State University.
Lattimore, the defensive rookie of the year. Chris mentioned Saints are #1 against the run, but they're number 28 against the pass. 3rd and 5. And somehow, some way, that is caught by Adam Thielen. I mean, he gets everything.
Oh, man.
He reaches over P.J. Williams and somehow comes away with it. Gain of 14.
It's unbelievable what we see from the receivers in this game. Watch Thielen. You want to know why he's the leading receiver in the National Football League? Over the top of the helmet to make that catch. How do you defend that? P.J. Williams saying, what do I got to do? I'm literally in his face. You talk about coverage in his face. There it is. Face to face, and he still caught it. Unbelievable.
At the 35-yard line. Started back at the 9. Cousins loses the handle and then is able to take the ball for a short gain to the 31-yard line. Gain of 3. 2nd down and 7 for the Vikes.
Well, the one thing that Kirk Cousins does so well, Drew Brees does it as well as anybody too, but is handle pressure, because what we've seen out of Cousins this season is his ability to throw the ball. Has 82% of his throws that are catchable despite pressure from the defense, and with the way this offensive line has been pass protecting this year, really valuable for this Vikings offense.
5 wide here on 2nd and 7. Cousins under pressure, throwing, and somehow that is caught by Stephon Diggs at the 1-yard line. He turned around, went to the outside, working on P.J. Williams. They're picking on him. Gain of 31, 1st and goal.
Well, this is just great wide receiver play. He's going to work inside, but knows he needs to get outside. So he says, fine, I'll start in there. You saw Williams try to overplay it, thinking he was breaking to the inside. Works back out. And I tell you what, these wide receivers, we knew they were good coming into this game. So far, they have been way better than good.
Cousins 4 for 4. 10th play of the drive. The running back is Thomas. And the ball is handed off to C.J. Ham for no gain. So the 4th or 3rd different ball carrier, 3rd different running back to carry here, and it's 2nd down and goal.
And you just have to remember that the Minnesota Vikings are playing without 2 starters on the left side of their offensive line, Riley Reeve, Tom Compton. Neither of those guys in there. And so the challenge is going to be, where do you get the big push? Where is our running game going to start in these short yardage situations?
Now Murray is in as the running back, and Ham is the fullback. Fake to him. Cousins on a roll, looking and throwing to the back of the end zone, and that is Kyle Rudolph with a flag down, making the catch. Manti Te'o was covering on the play.
Obviously out of bounds. There's more hats than flags on the field, so they've definitely stepped out. So then it's going to be a question, if he stepped out, was he pushed out, and is that illegal contact? And so we're going to have a long conversation without hats.
Here's the answer.
Well, the quarterback's out of the
pocket. The ruling on the field is that the receiver stepped out of bounds and did not reestablish inbounds. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down.
You'll see his foot is going to be clearly out of bounds, and that will make it 3rd down and goal. Little doubt. Easy call. No flag on Te'o. NBC it. You just saw it. So are the officials. So now 3rd and goal from just inside the 2-yard line. Cousins surveys, throws too high, intended for Kyle Rudolph, and now it's 4th down and goal. So the field goal unit started in, and Zimmer calls him back.
First of all, you're going to see they're going to try and work the ball to Thielen on the outside. Just that little turn back in probably was the better option. And then on the other side, Eli Apple with nice coverage. But that was really exactly what they wanted on Thielen, to start outside, peel back around. He was like, why didn't you throw me the ball? We practiced that.
4th down, goal. Rudolph comes into the slot. Cousins looking, throwing, and that will be Stephon Diggs, touchdown. What a start to this game. Saints go 81 yards, and the Vikings answer going 91 yards.
Only question is, are the feet down? Looks pretty magical.
All scoring plays, reviewed
A little
in New York.
drag, you can see the pellets flying, no question. Control of the ball. This is a show. How many lead changes did they have late in the 4th quarter last time? 4. This one may go again like that. This is amazing. This is as good a wide receiver play as we have seen all season so far, and we're just still in the 1st quarter.
The ex-Cowboy Dan Bailey bangs that one through, and with 3:16 left in the quarter, each team with a long drive. Diggs got the ball to the 1-yard line, turning around, adjusting, taken down there, and then they go to 4th down and go for it, get it. 7-7. Over the last 4 seasons, Bridgewater, then he had that terrible knee injury. Bradford came in. Case Keenum last year, terrific year. Now, of course, with Denver, and now you've got Cousins. So a different leader over the last 4 years. You go back to Fran Tarkenton in 72 and 73. He was the last Vikings quarterback to start every game for 2 consecutive seasons. That is amazing. I mean, even Brett Favre wasn't able to pull that off when he was here. So, you know, we thought this would be a shootout. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, we had Dallas, Houston a couple of weeks ago, defense. We had Kansas City, New England, all offense. Last week we saw Kansas City, but this one's starting the way we expected.
Yeah, and you thought it might, because Sean Payton, of course, great offensive mind. Mike Zimmer's his old buddy from their days back in Dallas, and those 2 guys went against each other in practice every day. So you can imagine, well, I know that he knows, so I'm not going to know that I'm going to do this. You know, you can imagine all the mental gymnastics that are going on between those 2 good friends.
They were on Bill Parcells' staff in the early 2000s. You got Taysom Hill in at receiver this time. Breeze with the play fake and sets up the screen, but that is beautifully read as Kamara makes the catch, and Linval Joseph says, loss of 5.
So many times it's more about brain power than physical brute. Joseph coming off a knee injury a week ago, but he smells this one all the way. Sees Kamara try and sneak out, and one of the most elusive backs in the NFL could not elude the big man. Now it sets up a little pass rush here for Danielle Hunter coming off the edge. He leads the NFL in sacks with 8, number 99.
Ingram is the running back. The fake to him, and then the pass to him, but that is read perfectly as well. That's Jaron Kearse, 3rd-year back out of Clemson, making the tackle, and it's a gain of 1. It'll be 3rd down and 14.
Jaron Kearse is an amazing athlete. He's 6'4" and 215, and he is basically the nickel cover guy. He's going to be challenged greatly in this one. No Xavier Rhodes, no Andrew Sendejo. So it is going to be on number 27 in a lot of these key situations.
Take a look at that. 3rd and long this year. Saints 1 out of 16, and the Vikings have allowed only 1 first down. 3-man rush. Breeze throws, caught at the 25, well short of the first down. Kamara is the receiver, and that's a 3-and-out, and Gideon makes the tackle.
Well, so much of the key to the New Orleans Saints on offense, these two tackles. Tron Armstead on the outside working against Griffin, and Ryan Ramczyk on the other side. They rank 1-2 in the National Football League, and as a combo, nobody better. They give up a pressure about once every 45 pass attempts.
Thomas Morstead has been the Saints punter since he was drafted in the 5th round in 09, his 10th season. And that's Marcus Sherrills, one of the better returners in the league at the 17-yard line, but has no help, and is tackled at the 19 with a minute to go in the quarter. 7-7 in Minneapolis. Thielen on a run here, and Thielen picks up 14 on first down. He is the 5th different ball carrier for the Vikings already in this game.
Well, you really got to give credit to Kyle Rudolph on this one over here. Watch him just stay with these blocks. They're going to come straight across this jet sweep kind of look, and that basically was all Kyle Rudolph. He got 2 blocks on that play to spring it. There's 1, there's 2. Nice run, too.
That's his first rush of the season. Had only 1 last year. Under a half minute to go in the quarter. Fake and a rollout to the right, and the pass is caught by Rudolph. And he's taken down about a yard past the line of scrimmage, and that should take us into the second frame. Great opening quarter, though. 81-yard drive for that guy. 91-yard answer for the Vikings. To the second we go. It's 7-7 and Sunday Night Football back after these messages. Start the second quarter with the 2nd down and 9, and a quick toss to Diggs, and Diggs cuts to the inside, picks up a first down, takes it to the Saints 45-yard line, tackled by Marcus Williams.
Really, Stephon Diggs originally was a slot player. They moved him back to the outside, but you can see some of the speed and elusiveness that makes him so valuable in there as well. So it's really very difficult to try and defend that when you have blocking, what you saw out of Kyle Rudolph right there. So far, the blocking of Rudolph on this drive has been the difference.
Diggs already 3 grabs tonight for 51 yards.
What's that?
Murray lines up deep. Flea flicker. Cousins going deep. Wide open is Thielen. To the 18. Was he touched is the question. He doesn't think he was, but he was. And that's Eli Apple, just came over from the Giants, who taps him down. But Thielen gets free, and it's a gain of 28 off the flea flicker.
So DeMarco Murray has 3 rushes for 28 yards, gets the attention of everybody. So you come back to the flea flicker in the middle of the field, and not only did he have Thielen wide open, but he really had Laquan Treadwell wide open for a touchdown, running right down the center of the field. Nobody went with him.
To the 17-yard line on a first down. On the ground, looking for room. There is none for Latavius Murray. It'll be 2nd down. Well, the newest Saint came over from the Giants, Eli Apple, #1 draft choice a couple of years ago. It's so funny. I think a lot of people, a lot of Giants fans thought, hey, we're giving up on the season. We traded Snacks Harrison to Detroit. This guy goes to New Orleans. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do know this. The Saints are basically saying we are all in.
And he's all in with a bunch of Ohio State guys, and they felt like that whatever issues he may have had in New York, having them back around all his buddies from Ohio State would take care of a lot of that.
2nd and 10, and that pass is caught at the 15. Stephon Diggs. Talk about the Buckeyes here. Von Bell, safety. Michael Thomas, of course, sensational. Apple comes over. Lattimore was the defensive rookie of the year last year, and Sean Payton talked to all of them. Talking about Eli Apple. Of course, last year it didn't end so gloriously, suspended, but played with the Giants beginning of this year, and they thought, okay, we'll take that draft choice, which turns out to be a #4.
Number 4, and you end up with a #1 draft pick, a guy they really like coming out in the draft. I'm going to talk about value. That was some value.
3rd and 7. Cousins to the corner of the end zone and too high for Aldrick Robinson, but a flag is thrown. So Robinson has caught 4 passes this year. 3 of them have been for touchdowns. Is the intended receiver, and Craig Rolstead will be the next voice you hear from.
Pass interference, defense, number 26. Since the foul occurred in the end zone, the ball will be placed at the 1-yard line, automatic, first down.
That's P.J. Williams, who's had a tough night already.
It's kind of interesting because it looked like Robinson just sort of slowed down, and I think that P.J. Williams relaxed, and then when Robinson took off again, I guess he grabbed the arm. Yep, you can see right there. You can grab the arm, and that is what the call was all about, and a good one.
To the 1, come up in the eye. Murray is the back. Give it to him. Leaps into the end zone for a Minnesota touchdown. Seven plays, 80 yards. Murray's 4th rushing touchdown of the season.
Well, Tavius Murray is a big guy, and he spins that ball right over the top. Not many 6'3" running backs in the league, but when he extends, he gets plenty of extension.
Now Dan Bailey to kick the extra point. Whoa. Well, they've had a lot of problems in Minnesota, not only this year but years past, and Bailey misses this one. 13-7. Find out about it on the way home. It's Taysom Hill from the 8-yard line. Takes it back out to the 33. Back we go to the missed field goal, or the missed extra point. It's the first extra point they've missed this season, but they're only 12 of 18 on field goal attempts. Got rid of their first kicker, Carlson, who's now with the Raiders, and then Bailey can't hit that one.
Does this look a little tentative to you? You know, like when you hit 3 drives out of bounds and you just want to kind of push it down the fairway, and I don't remember his stroke looking like that in Dallas. Just looks like he tried to punch it through there.
Only the 3rd missed extra point of his career, 2 last year in Dallas. Pass is caught by Thomas, and he gets taken down immediately by Holton Hill after a short game.
It's quite a combination, isn't it? Drew Brees throwing that ball out there to Michael Thomas, 53 of 58 attempts coming into it. But you see Drew Brees on a very regular basis. When you watch enough film of this guy, he just attempts throws that other quarterbacks do not, because he is so accurate, has such confidence in where that ball is going to go, and Michael Thomas catches it seemingly every time.
2nd and 6. Brees fires. The open man is at the 45-yard line, and that is hauled in by Thomas. Thomas is on a pace for 141 catches this season. The record is 143, but in front of him is Adam Thielen, who's on a record-setting pace.
It seems that every play ends up with the same kind of look, with Michael Thomas, who's coming right at you in the screen, as being the #1 target. It's the one thing that I question a little bit about the New Orleans Saints is who is that deep threat, because we talked about it earlier, but Taysom Hill is the fastest guy on the team, and he's a quarterback / everything else.
Yeah, Thomas's average is 11.1. Pretty mediocre. Ingram to the 50-yard line. Brees to Thomas. When he gets targeted, 57 of 62, right up to the middle. So that's 92% of the time when the ball is thrown at him, he gets it.
It would be hard to go out in the backyard and play catch and catch that many out of 62. I mean, we're talking about the National Football League with man coverage, with people draped all over you, and only miss 5?
Defensive backs ready to whack you. 2nd down and 5. Breeze hangs in there, and that is caught and stopped a little short of the first down. Kamara, who's a terrific receiver, but it is going to be 3rd and inches. Kendricks makes the tackle.
Yeah, I was wondering how long it was going to take Sean Payton to get to this. The one thing that you want to do when you play the Minnesota Vikings is challenge these linebackers in man coverage. That has been their weak spot this year. And when you're talking about Alvin Kamara, he is absolutely one of the best receiving running backs in all of football. Remember how much Sean Payton went for it on 4th down, so he may take a shot here and still come back and go for it on 4th.
Yeah, they went for it 5 times on 4th down. Might not even have to worry about that because that was Everson Griffin coming across the line.
Encroachment, defense number 97. It's a 5-yard penalty and a first down.
I mean, the Saints last week had 20 plays on their first drive of the game at Baltimore. Wound up not scoring because it was a fumble inside the 5-yard line. And they kept going for it on 4th down.
Yeah, and we saw Mike Zimmer go for it on 4th down here. I think both these coaches understand what the National Football League's about this year with all the scoring, but in particular this game. Got to be aggressive.
From the 41, slipping on the turf is Kamara. Thus only a short gain, 2 yards. So Kamara started his college career at Alabama. Didn't work out at all down there. Went to junior college for a year. Then he enrolls at Tennessee. He's drafted in the 3rd round. Last year was the 5th running back drafted, and he had a phenomenal season.
Yeah, I guess. Made the Pro Bowl his rookie season and was named Offensive Rookie of the Year. As a matter of fact, they had both Rookies of the Year. Marshawn Lattimore on defense, the other.
From the 39, now Mark Ingram, who played his college football in Alabama. Kamara is in motion, and they give it to Ingram, and he gets to the 34-yard line. And from there it'll be 3rd down and 3.
Well, here we go. This is when Mike Zimmer has been so great as a defensive coordinator. And it is so difficult to try and figure out exactly where his blitzes are coming from. Now you have to wonder how much pressure is he willing to bring without his #1 cornerback, Xavier Rhodes, who's out of this game with a foot injury. Let's see what he does. Ordinarily here, you'd see some pressure look one side, and usually the pressure comes the other way.
3rd and 3. Breeze throws, and it's dropped. Would have been an easy first down. But Kamara started to look downfield, not looking it in, thus the drop, and it's 4th down. Now what do they do?
Wow, what a break here. The Minnesota Vikings were so confused. Watch these guys right here trying to figure out who's covering what, when, where, and how. Kamara comes out wide open for an easy first down. And you don't see that guy miss one very often. He might have scored as elusive as he is.
Breeze had been 9 for 9. Thus his first incomplete pass. Lutz comes in. This is a 52-yard attempt. Morstead to put it down. And Will Lutz with the leg to bang it through. And if kicks, that would have been good from 58. 13-10, home team. From the 25-yard line on first down. Cousins throws, and that's caught. First down. Thielen. So Adam Thielen tonight trying to go up and over 100 yards. He has done that in every game this season. Charlie Hennigan did it for the 61 Oilers. He was undrafted. That was the Oilers' 2nd year of existence. We'll come back to live action here, and a big hole for Latavius Murray. A flag is thrown, however, and Murray is tackled at the 38-yard line, but a flag back at the 41 of the Vikings.
Holding. Offense number 65. It's a 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
That's the center, Pat Elflein.
Let's take a look. Usually, yeah, kind of hooked him around the head, didn't he? Right there. I'll tell you, the one thing that has been impressive that I really was surprised about is to see how well the Vikings have been running the football so far in this game. Latavius Murray seems like he's breaking off a 10-yard run every time he touches it.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer says we have to be able to run the ball. They run the ball very infrequently, comparatively speaking, and look out as Cousins gets buried. Sheldon Rankins, all 305 pounds of him, in for the sack.
Well, perfect coverage on the outside, and Kirk Cousins has to understand that when you're taking a three-step drop, you get one look, watch all the traffic on the outside, everybody's covered, and Cousins, I can hear Sam White screaming right now, throw it away. You take a three-step drop, if you can't hit that third foot and get rid of it, throw it away. You paid the price there.
5-yard sack, 2nd and 25. The running back is C.J. Ham. And they're going to give it to him. Gain of 1. Go back to Thielen for a second. This is the record he's chasing. If he can get to that 8th consecutive game. Calvin Johnson with the 2012 Lions. Of course, Calvin was the 2nd overall pick in his draft class. 8 in a row. And Thielen right now has 71 yards, so he's well on pace.
Can you believe we're comparing him to Calvin Johnson? I mean, really, this is one of the most remarkable stories of a lot of remarkable stories we know in the NFL. But for him to basically come out of nowhere and challenge that record.
3rd and 24. And that's caught by Rock Thomas. And he thrusts forward to the 36. And we asked Thielen the other day, so if you had gotten cut and couldn't play football in the National Football League, he said he'd be in sales.
He knows how to sell a quarterback. I know that. It's one of the great unknowns in the National Football League is that wide receivers do a lot of lobbying. I would have said he should have been a lobbyist because you have to know how to lobby the quarterback to get the ball thrown to you instead of Stephon Diggs or Kyle Rudolph.
Matt Wild a punt. Even a business management major at Minnesota State. And Wild line drive kick, returnable at the 18-yard line. Camaro is back there to take it in, and a nice run back as he brings it back to the 33. 4:21 to the half, and a 3-point game with the Vikings on top.
Both running backs in the game now. Camaro motioning back and forth and gets it.
And Camaro to the right side, picking up about 4 or 5.
So anytime defensively you get a chance to see linebackers like Ben Gideon in the game and Eric Wilson, you know that there's a bigger formation in the backfield for the New Orleans Saints. The one thing that surprised me a little bit so far, Al, is that we have not seen Drew Brees go after Holton Hill, who replaced Xavier Rhodes.
Right, Hill is a rookie and is a free agent. Played his college ball at Texas.
Out here.
Through the middle. Big hole for Camara. Into Viking territory. Tackled by Harrison Smith.
This is what great backs do. They set up their blocks. Watch Camara jump to the outside to set up the block there by Josh Hill, and then off to the races. Nice open field tackle by Harrison Smith down the field. But a lot of times it sounds weird, but running backs, the great ones, don't run to where they actually are trying to get to. They'll run somewhere else and then make that jump cut to get a chance for a big one.
2 tight ends, 2 wide here. Good protection. And Brees, the pass incomplete on a dangerous one intended for Smith. And it's Holton Hill, the rookie covering. So rookie on rookie that time.
Wow, that was interesting. It looked like Hill got there plenty early on that one, but no call. But now you get the opportunity, Al, to see if Mike Zimmer has the confidence in these two cornerbacks to see what he might come up with here. Kamara off to the right, along with Michael Thomas, same side. Two deep zone.
Under pressure, intercepted at the 32 by Harrison Smith. Stephen Weatherly was the guy who put the pressure on Brees, and that is the first interception of the season for Drew Brees.
Well, this is what the look of pressure is going to do. Weatherly's going to come off the edge, but because they flashed that pressure inside from Ben Gideon, all the lines slid down to the inside, and nobody picked up Weatherly. And the one thing Mike Zimmer said is everybody's afraid to go after Drew Brees. He said, but you cannot play him unless you pressure him, and that pressure led directly to the interception.
231 straight passes without a pick before that one for Brees. For Harrison Smith, his third interception of the season. Now this is Michael Boone on the ground for a short gain.
I just love to watch great defensive coordinators. They know how to work it. That time they flashed Gideon right up there, looked like it was going to be an inside blitz, and it just left Weatherly by himself on the outside. Very rarely do you fool Drew Brees, but I think he got him on that one. Here he is right here, comes up, and so they block here, and nobody is there to protect off the edge.
Free shot at him. And Smith, no stranger to interceptions, picks it off. Second down and 8. Boom. Already 6 different Vikings have carried the ball on the ground tonight. 3rd and 6 upcoming.
Well, now you get a little bit of the reverse side of this equation. And one of the problems now for Dennis Allen is without the cornerback play, is he willing to pressure? We'll see in a minute.
2-minute warning. Vikings 13, Saints 10 on Sunday Night Football. 3rd down and 6 here with 2 minutes remaining in the half.
He knows Klein's dropping out, so now he's going to check the protection off to the right-hand side here.
5-man rush. Pass caught. Can Rudolph get the first down? He can. Reaches across the line. Alex Anzalone makes the tackle, but couldn't stop him from a first down.
Well, I know Laquan Treadwell is not always loved around here as a receiver, but that was a fantastic pick he put on out there to open up Rudolph.
Number 44, Cousins fires to the outside. That's incomplete. So you have 92 seconds, second down. Minnesota 2 timeouts. They lost 1 early on the unsuccessful challenge. John DeFilippo is the new offensive coordinator. Last year, the quarterbacks coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. How'd that work out? So the last time he was, not the last time he was in the stadium, but the last game last year, Dennis Allen, his opposite number, the defensive coordinator for the Saints. But DeFilippo takes over as the play caller, something he did for 1 year in Cleveland about 3 years ago. Meanwhile, Cousins going deep down the field, and it's incomplete, broken up. Crowd wants a flag, intended for Treadwell. No flag. Lattimore with tight coverage. 3rd and 10.
It's like watching a boxing match going down the field. They're grabbing and swatting, but you know, I kind of like that as a no call. They're all over each other, but there wasn't one knockout punch. You know, they each kind of got a couple jabs in, but if you had called it, you'd almost have to call it both ways.
We'll go to Michael Buffer for the decision. It's a draw. 3rd down and 10. Cousins fires to the outside. Caught. That'll move the sticks. That's Aldrick Robinson, who Cousins played with at Washington. Eli Apple with the coverage, and it's a first down with 1:21 to go.
Watch how early Kirk Cousins throws this. The route's going to be out here, but you will see he throws this way before the break, way before that happened. That's the kind of timing we're seeing already with Kirk Cousins, and it's the reason how I think this team is going to keep getting better offensively.
And he could do it with a guy that he played with for the past couple of years in Washington. So no strangers there. The ball to 38. Cousins into the outside. Tight coverage. That pass incomplete. Now you've got a flag. Treadwell, the intended receiver, and they're working Apple's way in his first game as a Saint.
Pass interference. Defense number 25. The ball was placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
On the former Giant.
Well, I guess Apple connected with a right hook or something. Let's take a look. Treadwell really is not scaring too many people deep down the field, so they kind of play him for that back shoulder. That's when I look over at Terry McCauley and I said, oh.
All right. That was the semi-main.
Base 5-6. Sunday.
From the 30. Looking out, Jordan coming. And he gets it off to Murray. And he will get out of bounds, picking up a first down at the 17-yard line. Apple runs him out with 111.
Take a look at Cameron Jordan, their best on the outside, working the edge. But that was one of those read blitzes, Al, you know, where the linebacker steps up and he has the back in coverage. And so he's sitting there, and the minute he thinks he's truly blocking, he rushes, and then the back sneaks out. It's the reason there's nobody there.
Vikings trying to pull off the 2-for-1 score at the end of the half and get the ball to start the third quarter. Pass caught by Thielen. And he launches the ball at the 13-yard line. And it's picked up. If it's a live ball, and it appears to be at this particular point, you got Lattimore coming the other way, and he'll take it to the 32-yard line. So Thielen picked up about 5 or 6 yards, loses the ball. Lattimore turns it around. Now you got a flag thrown at the end of the play. Meanwhile, the Saints go into the end zone as if to celebrate.
I think they were down there posing for a picture.
First fumble of the season for Thielen. Here's Rolstead.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Minnesota, number 11, throwing his helmet. That's a 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play. First down.
Penalty on Treadwell, and we're back in 30 seconds. Thielen gritting his teeth on the sideline, loses it. Alex Anzalone forced the issue. Then you had this, and that'll draw a flag every time. Cost you 15. Give Breeze the ball at the 18. All of their timeouts. That New Orleans disposal that's caught by Kamara. First down. Tries to work his way to the end zone. Is he in? No, he's not. But he's inside the 1. The clock keeps rolling. 47-46 and ticking down. First and goal.
It's just too much on any linebacker. This Alvin Kamara, just too much. I mean, honestly, Eric Kendricks, one of the better cover linebackers there is, too.
Come back and diving into the end zone goes Kamara for the touchdown.
Wow, what a turnaround here at the end of the half.
The fumble, the return, the penalty, and in they go. So the Vikings squander the lead, and the Saints will lead by 4 if the extra point is good.
All these defensive linemen just have to go low and try and create a pile, but it doesn't do you any good when a guy like Kamara can jump over the top of everything. He took a shot to his head twice. One on the hit and one on the way down.
Kamara with both touchdowns tonight, one on the ground, one through the air. Will Lutz, extra point. Before that, the penalty. Morstead eavesdropping.
False start. Offense, number 49. The 5-yard penalty. Still the try.
All right.
Isn't it amazing how fast games can turn around? I mean, it just looked like, you know, they're going down and taking control. They've done a great job on defense, the Vikings had against this great Saints offense, and it completely turned around.
That's why we're always talking about turnovers. So Lutz now for what would be a 38-yard extra point, and that is no problem at all. So with a half minute to go, it's 17-13. Take a look at the Thielen fumble here. It's Anzalone, we believe. P.J. Williams also. Williams comes in. Anzalone is there as well on the backside, but P.J. Williams creates it, and Lattimore picks it up and is off to the races.
Yeah, for P.J. Williams, it was a little bit of everything in this first half, playing that slot. Treadwell with the helmet throw, but he's also the guy who made the tackle, so I don't know exactly why he was so set off. But here is the matchup. When you go in at halftime, as many things as Mike Zimmer can draw up, it all comes down to one thing: can anybody take care of Kamara? I mean, that's really what it is, because all they do is isolate and create as much space for him in the middle as they can, and I haven't seen the linebacker yet that can get that done.
So Kamara 33 yards rushing, 26 more receiving, and 2 touchdowns. And Cousins will have the ball at the 25-yard line. So can he work the Vikings' way into field goal range? 2 timeouts.
You know, this is where a Dalvin Cook would sure come in handy. You know, maybe a little screen, a little something, what we've been seeing to Kamara. Let him see if he can break a tackle or two, get it down around the 40-45, call a timeout, and get going. But limited options as receivers coming out of that backfield now.
Michael Boone is in the backfield, a rookie out of Cincinnati. They give it to him. He's going to bounce his way for a gain of 7 up to the 32-yard line, and the Vikings apparently will be content to go down by 4 and get the ball to start the second half. Crowd not in favor of it. And Zimmer and company will head back to the locker room at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, where our halftime score is New Orleans 17, Minnesota 13. Vikings get the ball. Third quarter is underway with a touchback, and we go to Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Sean Payton told me at halftime that shift in momentum where the Vikings turned it over and they got it back and scored was huge. And I asked him how they can slow the Vikings passing attack. He said, good question. Kirk Cousins has seen everything. We got to keep changing things up. Meanwhile, Mike Zimmer really lamented his team losing composure, throwing the helmet, Laquan Treadwell. But he said the Saints haven't been slowing them down. And on defense, Chris, he said Alvin Kamara is the problem. And he said they've made some adjustments.
Can't wait to see him.
And we'll take a look at the first play from scrimmage of the second half, which is a 3-yard run by Murray.
Well, the one thing that you've seen out of Kirk Cousins in that first half is that he was under pressure. So when you're under pressure, you have to anticipate these throws, and that's exactly what he did. And then his wide receivers did the rest for him. But you'll see very early on throwing that ball well before the wide receiver Aldrick Robinson turns around. And for Kirk Cousins, yes, there has been some pressure, but he has been perfect so far tonight when he's faced it.
Second down and 7. He's flanked by the rookie running back Michael Boone. On a second and 7. Cousins fires, and a backhanded grab is made by Treadwell for a first down. Laquan Treadwell, their first-round draft choice in 2016.
Big Cameron Jordan starting to get close, working on the rookie on the outside. Brian O'Neill, here he comes. Really going to take him right back into Kirk Cousins. And this is what these receivers have been doing for Cousins all night, making plays just like that. And for Treadwell, well, he desperately needs some of those, because if he becomes the third weapon out there, this team may be impossible to stop.
Yeah, 23rd overall pick in the 16 draft. Tough running by Murray to the 40-yard line. We talked about Cam Jordan before, and of course he would have a Minnesota connection. His dad, Steve Jordan, great tight end for many seasons with the Vikings, as the Vikings now come up without a huddle on 2nd and 6 from the 40-yard line. Rolling, throwing, and it almost picked off. Manti Te'o, the former Notre Damer, almost had the pick.
And I think he was second in the Heisman balloting in part because of this. He made about 7 interceptions or so. It was remarkable. His last year at Notre Dame just kept taking the ball away. It seemed like people were throwing it to him, handing it to him. Almost came up with another. That would have been a pick 6.
3rd and 6. 4-man rush. Pressure put on. Gets it away. But can Diggs get the first down? He does not. The down judge comes in. You had Jordan putting the heat on that time. And it looks like it's going to be a 4th down and inches.
Well, let's start with Jordan coming off the edge. He almost got there again, and they may want to start thinking about helping the rookie. Almost a hold, barely gets it out of there. And really, it looked like Diggs stumbled just a little bit, and it probably cost him a first down.
Well, they'll line up to go for it on 4th down.
They go empty.
Will they? They will. And Cousins will fire, and that is incomplete. Lattimore breaks it up, intended for Treadwell, and they hand the ball to the Saints in Viking territory. The gamble does not pay off. Saints by 4. The Bill Parcells coaching tree has borne a lot of fruit through the years. Mike Zimmer and Sean Payton were both on Bill's staff when Bill was with the Cowboys in the early 2000s. Former assistant coaches with 100 or more wins: Sean Payton, Tom Coughlin, and Bill Belichick. 3 head coaches with 3 former assistants with 100 or more wins. The other 2, Bill Walsh and Marty Schottenheimer. So it's Payton and Zimmer, and you've got Taysom Hill starting by taking the snap here and handing the ball off on 1st down for a gain of 3. Ingram carrying it, and it'll be 2nd down and 7.
Well, here is the first adjustment we've seen. Jaron Kearse this time is going to line up right here on Kamara. They like that matchup. They think he is their best matchup against tight ends and running backs. We'll see if it continues or that was a one-off.
So you got Hill, you got Breeze all the way out to the left. Don't look for him to catch a pass, but who knows. 2nd and 7. Kamara in the backfield. On the option. And the ball taken to the 39-yard line. Taysom Hill, what a story this guy is. Grew up in Idaho. Mormon. Was on a mission for a couple of years. He's 28 years old. He was actually in the Green Bay camp last year. They waived him. Now he's been picked up. Played 9 snaps tonight. 4 at quarterback, 5 at tight end. He's been in the slot. He's been a wideout. He's a great special teams player. And as we talked about before, they think he's the fastest guy on the team.
And he's the only guy for the Saints to throw a deep ball tonight.
Right, 6'2", 221. Breeze back in the gun on 3rd and 3. In the pistol this time. And he flips it out. It's lobbed to Kamara. He breaks the tackle, picks up the 1st down. Threw it over Hunter, who leads the league in sacks. He was coming in. A little lob.
Well, here's the matchup change. They're going to have Kearse is going to be on Kamara this half, but it is the speed and athleticism of Teron Armstead that gets out there. Al, I was talking to some of the guys on both teams about Teron Armstead, and they said he really should be a wide receiver. I don't think I've seen a tackle that athletic, maybe going back to Anthony Munoz's days.
3rd round pick in 13 out of Arkansas Pine Bluff. 1st down. Now on an end around, you got Hill who's going to carry this time, and Hill will get stopped after a gain of 1. Hendricks makes the stop. We go to Michelle again.
Well, speaking of Taysom Hill, he was often in the Heisman conversation, but there were the injuries. His freshman year, he played 6 games before injuring his knee and hamstring. He played his entire sophomore season, but his junior year was limited to 5 games because of a broken ankle and torn ligaments. And the opener of his senior season, he suffered a Liz Frank injury, got a medical redshirt, returned for a 5th year, tore his tricep in the season finale. Surely that affected his draft status as well, Al.
You bet, Michelle. It's just another headache for defensive coordinators to figure it out. A little lob to Ingram, who is blocking as well. And he'll set up a 1st down and goal as Mark gets to the 9-yard line, tackled there by Harrison Smith.
Well, they have a little stunt where their defensive end, Stephen Weatherly, is going to drop out, and that's really going to create all that space. Now you have all those blockers in front. The one bad time to use that defense, it just so happened to be the time Drew Brees threw the screen.
Five wide, 1st and goal. 5-man rush, and the pass is thrown behind Austin Carr. First target for him. For Hunter, number 99, tied for the league lead in sacks with 8, but they have done a good job on him tonight, have the Saints.
Yeah, and there's one guy in particular, Ryan Ramczyk, who has become a superstar in this league. The Saints have 2 incredible tackles, and for Danielle Hunter, it has been a rough night against Ramczyk so far.
2nd and goal. Kamara gets taken down in the backfield, slicing through and knifing through Eric Hendricks, the middle linebacker, to stop him. 3rd down and goal now.
Yeah, and here's what happens, Al, is when you flash both of those linebackers up there, it forces those offensive linemen to block down, and there was literally nobody there for Kendricks. Now here we go. We have seen pressure one time against Drew Brees in this game, and it worked for an interception. Are you willing to take that chance again with Kamara on the field?
Kamara flanking Brees. Thomas slot left. Brees looks that way. Flushed out. Chased by Hunter. Throws it away.
Did not get back.
And a flag is thrown. Was he outside the tackle box?
And it didn't get back to the line of scrimmage.
Just a little dump off to nobody. And this, of course, will not only be yardage, but a loss of down if it's grounding.
Intentional grounding. Offense, number 8. The ball we placed at the spot of the foul. Loss of down. 4th down.
So basically, I think he sort of stayed in the tackle box, but he's going to be under pressure from Danielle Hunter on his right side. Maybe drifted out there, but clearly nowhere close to the line of scrimmage. Really wasn't like the pressure is what forced it. It was really the coverage forced Brees to get rid of it.
So Lutz 1 for 1 tonight from 52 yards. This one is 42 yards. Morstead puts it down, and Lutz's kick is perfect. Vikings hold them to 3. It's 20-13 Saints. Big defensive stop by Minnesota to hold them to 3.
Red, duck.
Cousins sprinting away, and he's going to get swallowed up and loses the ball at the 17-yard line. That was Marcus Davenport, and it is a fumble. It's a live ball, and he turns it over.
There goes the next photograph. Let's take a look. We've got a more important photograph right here. Is this knee down or not? It looks like the knee is down, and they're still fighting for the ball. It was definitely pulled away from the body.
Recovered by New Orleans.
All turnovers reviewed. That's Davenport, and you can see
Right
part of the
there,
reason.
it's down.
Yep. Part of the reason they traded up to pick him number 1.
The previous play is under review.
He had his hands on it. I don't think it was out.
Verdict when we come back. There is no fumble. Cousins' knee was down. We'll look at it in a moment. And Terry McAuley up here in the booth with us. Your thoughts?
So we have 2 really good shots, Al, with firm control and the knee down. Here's one right there. The ball has not started to move from his grip. So this good reversal by New York.
And a very fortunate one for the Vikings. So it's a sack for Davenport, the rookie out of Texas San Antonio. It's a 2-yard loss. Vikings keep the ball, and it's 2nd down and 12 from the 23-yard line. And on the ground, trying to find some running room and taking a whack, is Latavius Murray. And that'll make it 3rd down and about 6.
Well, it's been an interesting rotation up front. We're starting to see more and more of Marcus Davenport for the New Orleans Saints on the defensive side. Mike Zimmer almost saw Davenport create that turnover there. There's been sort of a battle between he and Alex Okafor, but clearly they moved up in the draft, and that young man there has a ton of athletic talent.
3rd and 6, halfway mark of the 3rd quarter. Cousins checks off over the middle. First down. It's Stephon Diggs up at the 42-yard line. Diggs had a big first half. That's 6 catches for 72 yards for him tonight.
Well, and it's not often Kirk Cousins gets perfect protection. Exactly what he got there and able to get it out. And I tell you, these guys are so good on these contested catches. Just going up and making those catches. And so many times we saw it happen to Treadwell. It can get punched out of your hands, but it just seems like Diggs and Thielen so good at snatching it back into their body and not losing it.
Murray lining up 9 yards deep in the backfield. And on the first down, it's a pickup of 2. Cam Jordan makes the tackle.
Yeah, and for Murray, really a bit of a slow start for the season. He really didn't get many opportunities. We talked to him the other day, and I said, why do you think the running game has been having the uptick that it had? And he said, opportunities. We've been getting opportunities. And I think that added balance has really helped this football team, because you know John DeFilippo, all he wants to do is throw the ball every down, and I think Zimmer's like, hey, slow down a little bit. Let's run it a bit.
Yeah, they throw it the 3rd most in the league on a percentage basis. And that's picked off at the 44-yard line by P.J. Williams, uncontested to the end zone. Cousins throwing a sidearm dart at P.J. Williams, who was burned in the first half, came on at the end of the half, and now gives them a 2-possession lead with an interception return off Cousins.
And it's not often your own receiver gets you. Diggs is going to come over and stop and try and come back. The defensive back keeps going, and Cousins thought he was going to keep going. Ends up throwing it right to P.J. Williams. Ordinarily, on that kind of play, you never know what a team's rules are, but ordinarily when you're going on a route like that late, it's hard to make that sort of an adjustment, and boy, they pay a heavy price for a couple of huge mistakes on the Vikings side.
45-yard interception return. Lutz for the extra point. Well, the turnovers have been killers to this point, as the Saints now lead by 14. Kick is fielded by Marcus Sherrills at the 5, out to the 20-yard line. So Lone Sailor will be part of that Breeders' Cup Classic, and Gail Benson taking over the team after the passing of Tom Benson. There's Gail, who had owned the team since 1985. Talking to her before the game. Pelicans doing well. Saints in first place, and a horse in the Breeders' Cup. Life is good.
Life is good. She's a lovely lady. She really is. So, what can I do for you guys? You know, right?
Give us a ticket on the horse.
Yeah.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line on the first down. It's a 3-yard gain for Murray, and back we go to the 45-yard interception return.
So anytime you're in man coverage coming across the field, which he clearly is here with Williams, if you stop like that, you do so at your own risk and at the risk of your quarterback, because he doesn't know exactly when you're going to stop. And he is over there saying, and then the quarterback gives you that look away look like, yeah, don't do it again.
Right. Or else. 2nd and 7. Off the fake. That's caught by Diggs. On the same page here to the 45-yard line on the first down. Gain right there of 22 yards.
Looks like a play action pass. It looks like an RPO, but they're really not coming out and really trying to run block on that one. So just a little run look.
Well, no huddle here. Nice 6-yard run into Saints territory. Von Bell makes the tackle on Murray. Murray's now carried the ball 11 times for 53 yards, averaging almost 5 yards per tote.
Yeah, they're just a better team when he's adding some balance to this offense because everybody just plays the pass. But if you'd have told me that Drew Brees would have been 12 for 17 for 91 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception at this point, they'd have 27 points on the board. That would have been a hard one to believe.
Yeah, I thought he'd be sick. Yeah. 2nd and 5. Murray again, and this time slicing through and making the tackle is A.J. Klein, the linebacker. So it'll be 3rd down and 4 with a little over 4 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and now's the moment that you're really hoping you get something that's easy to read. The one thing that you really felt like they could take advantage of Kirk Cousins on, if they could fool him just a little bit and not give him an obvious look pre-snap. They felt like he held the ball just a little bit longer and would give their pass rushers a chance to get there, and they like their matchups against these tackles.
5 wide on 3rd and 4. And look out, down he goes at the 44-yard line. That's Sheldon Rankins coming in for the sack. 3rd sack for them. 4th down, in comes the punting group.
Al, exactly what I was talking about. Watch these 2 linebackers. They're showing blitz, but they drop back, and they were looking underneath here for some of these slant looks, and it wasn't there. So what did Kirk Cousins do? Exactly what Dennis Allen thought he was going to do. Hold the ball, and he took the sack.
3-man rush did it. Pushed Elflein back. And Matt Wild, his 2nd punt of the night. Rush was on, gets it away. Contact was made, but there's no flag for roughing. And the fair catch is made at the 16. Back in 30 seconds. Here's Kamara. You know, Chris, we always hear about there's a sense of urgency. Everybody uses sense of urgency. It normally doesn't come until like November, right? But we talked to Breeze the other day, and we said, what was the feeling after you lose 48-40 to Tampa Bay? And Jameis Winston wasn't even playing at that point, and Fitzpatrick starting his magic. And he said, well, you know what? We had an immediate sense of urgency.
If you know Drew Brees at all, he always has a sense of urgency. when he's coaching his kids' flag football league, there's a sense of urgency. You can see it in his voice. We saw a tape on it. It was a crack up.
Drew Brees, 39, won't be 40 until January, in the middle of the playoffs. And here's Ingram. And the other thing, too, you know, everybody's making such a big deal. And, of course, it is a big deal. With Tom Brady playing at 41, you forget. Brees is like 39 2/3.
Yeah, and the other thing is he's been runner-up as the MVP, what, 5 different times, something like that? And here's a guy that has simply been, he's put up numbers that nobody else has. Over 5,000 yards 5 different times. You add up everybody else in the history of pro football who played quarterback, it doesn't add up to 5. It adds up to 4. So pretty remarkable stuff this guy has done.
Yeah, 3 times he's been runner-up, but he's been in the top 5 a number of times. He has a ton of time here. He has all night to throw. But the secondary does its work, and finally he settles underneath for a pass to Taysom Hill. He's 2nd down. The touchdown greats. There they are. Peyton with 5:39. Then there's Brett Favre. Then there's Brady still going, of course. Breeze at 5:02, and Marino 4:20. So you have 5 for Peyton, 3 for Brett, 3 for Tom, 1 for Marino, and 0 for Breeze. And part of the problem is he's been playing at the same point. There are notable athletes never to win it. Jeter, Jerry West, Breeze, Steve Eisenman of the Detroit Red Wings as the pass is caught, and that'll be a 1st down to Taquan Smith to move the chains in the final minute. You know, the part of the problem is you're playing in an era where he had Peyton Manning and he had Aaron Rodgers and he had Brady, of course. Kind of the same thing with Jerry West. You know, he should have won it. You think he would have won it, but he had Chamberlain. You know, he had a lot of guys in his era, and then he got savaged, I think, by his own teammate Elgin Baylor, who picked up some votes.
Yeah, I think that one surprised you more than anything else, didn't it? We were going through some of that today, and Jerry West, really?
Yep. Handoff here goes to Ingram, and that's going to take us into the final quarter. It's the end of 3 in Minnesota, 27-13 Saints. Sunday Night Football resumed after these messages. Saints have been great in the fourth quarter. 82 points, tops in the league, plus 33 differential, and already up by 14. Start with a 2nd down and 6 from the 42-yard line. To the outside goes the pass, and coming back and then trying to get the first down is Tre'Quan Smith, and he does. Rookie out of Central Florida, picked him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and I think what's happening here, Al, is we have not seen Drew Brees, who is the #1 passer on deep balls as far as quarterback percentage is concerned. But because of the fact that Xavier Rhodes is not playing cornerback, we've seen a little more cautious approach out here tonight on the part of the Minnesota Vikings. So it's been a lot of that underneath type throw.
Keep it on the ground here. Yard or 2 for Kamara. His night tonight has featured a couple of touchdowns, 10 carries for 42 yards.
You know, it's interesting to go back a little bit to that decision by Mike Zimmer to go for it on 4th down. He goes for it down there on the goal line and scores a touchdown. He goes for it there, doesn't, but they hold him to 3 points. Well, even if you punt the ball to Drew Brees, hold him to 3 points on a drive is not a bad result. So I think both of those very favorable.
2 turnovers have been killers. Here goes Ingram. And he behind Zach Line, out of bounds with a penalty. Marker on the field. Craig Rolstead is tonight's referee.
Hands to the face. Defense, number 97. It's a 5-yard penalty and a first down.
Talking about Everson Griffin. Boy, both of these teams have tough schedules ahead. The Saints go home. They face the undefeated Rams, go to Cincy, and then Philadelphia and Atlanta, and at Dallas. Vikings, Detroit here next week, then the bye. Then at Chicago, Green Bay on a Sunday night, and then at New England and at Seattle. Tough.
Seattle looked tough today.
Yeah. Beat Detroit.
They've gone back to their running game. I think Marshawn Lynch is playing back there again.
Chris Carson. First down. Now you got play clock at 1. And timeout taken by
charge timeout.
Sean Payton's group.
This is a 30-second timeout.
Over the shoulder, Mike Zimmer, helping to turn this team around. And of course, Sean Payton went to New Orleans in 2006, and that was a match made in heaven. Brees and Payton, and that city at a time of distress following Katrina, turning it around, getting everybody so excited, and of course culminating with that Super Bowl win in 09.
It was interesting when talking to Sean Payton and Drew Brees about their old game plans. I said, what was it like back when you first started? He said, we went back and took a look at a 2006 game plan. He goes, it was so simplistic we were both laughing.
Yeah, he said that was English. Right now we're doing Mandarin Chinese. From the 37-yard line. Play action buys a ton of time, and then the pass is caught along the sideline, and that's Ingram who fights his way for another few yards, taking Curse with him and making it 2nd down and 2.
Not a single deep pass out of Drew Brees, and you can just see what they're doing. They're just dropping back, and the hardest part about playing against Drew Brees is a lot of quarterbacks get impatient. You know, they want to take their shot down the field, but Drew Brees is going to throw it where you aren't. And if you're going to play back there, he's going to throw it up here. And so far, his backs and tight ends have been converting just fine for him.
Well, look at those numbers. Only 2 passes tonight, more than 10 yards downfield. Almost everything underneath, and Kamara takes the ball to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and one thing that's helped them here tonight as well is they get their left guard back, Andrus Peat. He has been out with a variety of different injuries, concussion, ankle, quad injury. But when they get this entire offensive line intact, they are very tough indeed. Of course, we talked about the tackles a lot. Max Unger, the veteran, came over from Seattle. But Andrus Peat is a big tackle kind of a player and gives them some push in the run game.
Chewing up plenty of clock are the Saints here. This is the 11th play of this drive. And it's Kamara to the outside with a flag down. Flag is down just past the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Offense, number 75. It's a 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to finish the story. I said the one thing that he does really well is hold. I can put the kiss of death on anybody. I really can.
Wipes out an 18-yard gain.
There you go, right there as he pulls away. It's that, I don't know if everybody knows exactly how shoulder pads are made, but they have that chest plate that comes down, and that's what all of us who played on offense love to grab that and hold on to it, and you really can't see it unless they start to pull away, and that's what happened to Pete there.
He grabbed Linval Joseph. Meanwhile, under 12 now, it's a 1st and 19 from the 34-yard line. Ingram this time. Heisman Trophy winner a few years back at Alabama. He's 2nd down and 14 after a gain of 5 yards.
Yeah, and they are thrilled to have Ingram back. Not only is he a tremendous back, but he also is a guy that's taken a lot of carries away from Alvin Kamara. They were really getting worried that Kamara was just too much. But he is the heavyweight inside, and he does a lot of that dirty work in there, pounds it up in there, but very, in my estimation, very underestimated in the passing game as well. Tremendous on the screen game.
And Kamara back in. 2nd down and 15. Breeze to Kamara, and he escapes the tackle for just a moment. Harrison Smith was able to slow him up, and then he was taken down, and it will be 3rd and long.
So that time they switched. Looked like this safety was coming down, but no, Harrison Smith came there, and then he was in position to make the play and held up Kamara just long enough. Mike Zimmer said, listen, when you play against Drew Brees, a lot of rope-a-dope out there. You cannot let him know what you're doing in advance, so we're seeing a lot of movement, but they don't really feel comfortable coming after him. You can just tell it. They don't trust what's happening at the cornerback position yet.
3rd and 18. They've taken over 7.5 minutes on this drive, and Ingram will take the ball to the 25-yard line, setting them up for what will be about a 43-yard field goal attempt for Lutz.
Yeah, and absolutely the right call there. The field goal obviously has great value here, moving it to a 3-score game.
So that's a drive. By the time this is over and he kicks it, they will have consumed more than 8 minutes. 42-yard attempt. Lutz has made a 52-yarder and a 42-yarder. Both right down the middle. Morstead puts it down, and that kick is good, and there's your hat trick for him. Would have been good from 60. That makes it a 3-possession game, 30-13.
Yeah, the Sunday night lights are starting to dim a little bit. Too many mistakes on the part of the Minnesota Vikings. There's Adam Thielen, who had a big first half, but then that fumble, and he hasn't touched the ball here in the second half. And then this turnover where his other star receiver, Stephon Diggs, stopped on that route. And those 2 mistakes have really been pretty much the difference in the ball game.
U.S. Bank Stadium, beautiful site, beautiful architecture. The edge of downtown Minneapolis on this Sunday night.
Beautiful heater on Super Bowl Sunday last year.
Okay, Marcus Williams, what about him? Of course, he's the guy who missed the tackle on Diggs, and Diggs off to the races, sending them to the championship game. And we were talking to Sean Payton about him. He said, you know, this is one guy, and he's a young kid. He's 22 years old, was a rookie last year. Strong and could handle it about as well as anybody.
Yeah, he said you would never wish that on anybody, but if you had one guy on your team that you thought could handle something like that, here's a guy that is just so mentally tough, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, hard worker, comes from a great family. His mom makes desserts for the team on occasion. They just love him.
First down, it's a 12-yard gain here on the pass to Laquan Treadwell on a first down. And for the Saints, that is Von Bell, another of their Ohio State Buckeyes, who will need a little bit of attention. Of course, they'll have to come off for at least one play.
Those slants are so dangerous for everybody involved. Takes a lot of courage on the part of the receivers, and then the safeties on the back end, they have to try and figure out a way to hit people now.
9.5 left in the fourth.
Got to get Thielen back involved here. He was playing great the first half, then made the mistake, and it's been nothing.
Diggs involved here. Diggs will get out of bounds after a gain up to the 45-yard line, and that's Marcus Williams stopping him there. Second and 2. Here's Williams involved in this one.
You know, it's amazing that Marcus Williams, who was having just a phenomenal year last year, ends up with that one hanging over his head.
Second and 2, and Murray will move the sticks here. First down.
Al, if you've ever played the game long enough, you've had something close to that happen to you. I had a fumble in the Super Bowl, and I can tell you this. There were years that went by I didn't wake up at least once during the course of the night thinking about it. And it will not go away. It won't. It just will never go away. It'll be with you for a lifetime. But I think in the case of Marcus Williams, and I think a little bit with me, it was a bit of a driver for the rest of my life. You know, you end up just having to go, okay, I accept it, I acknowledge it, I'll work harder the next time.
So it fueled you as Murray makes the catch at the. I've never heard you talk about that.
I don't like to talk about that, but I thought it only fair in the case of this young man there. I thought if any of us who had ever had one of those moments in the National Football League, you could feel his pain. And I'll say this about the fans in New Orleans. For the most part, it was generally very, very positive. They knew the kind of kid he was.
Second and 6, and that is caught. And staying in bounds, well, he knows how to do that, is Diggs to pick up the first down at the 39-yard line. Broke away from Eli Apple.
You know, I thought this offense, whether it was with Case Keenum or now, really changed for the better when they flip-flopped those two receivers and they brought Stephon Diggs and moved him back outside where he could use his explosiveness and his speed out there and put Adam Thielen in the slot and let his creativity take shape in there.
Cousins has that one batted. Which of those Super Bowl? You know, I forgot the fumble, so not that I want to.
Oh, you're killing me, man!
You played in 2.
The first one, my rookie year. Yeah.
So Montana did not steal your ring. You cost your team the game.
I did, clearly. Okay. And here it comes one more time, and that was. We've seen that a lot this year, haven't we? For Kirk Cousins, they just keep knocking him down. The plan for the Vikings today was to try and re-engage once they saw the defensive lineman's feet settle, to try and re-engage and not let them do that. And look out.
And Cousins from behind, and that is Davenport. So the #1 draft choice, the guy they traded up to get out of Texas San Antonio, now has 2 sacks in the game.
Well, it was interesting. We had a conversation with Sean Payton, and I said, Sean, I'm really surprised you haven't played Marcus Davenport more. Based on what I've seen, this kid's a star in the making. He goes, you know what? Sometimes as coaches, we fall in love with guys who know their assignments, like Alex Okafor. We got to get him in the game, and he has tonight.
He prodded him on 3rd and 17. This is Thielen. He'll pick up the first down and several yards more, taking it to the 19-yard line.
I tell you, that's pretty close to putting him over the 100-yard marker.
It does.
Too.
It does. 102. So there he is, and that is another one. 8 straight.
So here he is, and we've talked about the creativity, the knowledge. You saw him just working. It looked to P.J. Williams like that was going to be an out-breaking cut. He does so much damage at the top of his routes.
Cousins hanging in under pressure, but he does get it away, and it's caught at the 16 by Latavius Murray. And again, that was Cam Jordan making his presence felt in the backfield. So here he is now, longest streak of 100-yard receiving games. You go back to Calvin Johnson, and now Adam Thielen. It's the longest streak to start a season with 102 yards in receptions tonight.
Talking about 2 guys who started on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
On 2nd and 7, looking out as a flag is thrown. 2, in fact, Eli Apple will get flagged here as Diggs gets tripped up, and that'll be interference.
Thanks a lot, Terry. Terry McCauley gave me that's a pass interference call. I know
Pass
that
interference.
one.
Defense, number 25. The ball we placed in the spot of the foul. First down, goal.
Tackled him.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tackle him. Don't miss. You know, it's one of those, you still have a chance. If he doesn't make that tackle, it's going to be a touchdown. So at least they got the ball to 6. We'll see if they can score from here.
4 minutes into this drive. This is the 10th play. First and goal from the 6. Blitz gets it away, and it's almost intercepted in the end zone. Intended for Rudolph, and that was Marcus Williams with the near pick. Second down and goal.
This is Marcus Williams cutting him off at the pass as he tries to go for the in cut. Really runs right into Williams, stops his momentum, and almost came up with that one. That would have been on cue.
5:38 remaining. Second and goal. Got the blitz, pass is caught. Treadwell, but he is short of the goal line. Lattimore covering. Third and goal from inside the 1.
That was interesting. Elbow down on the ground, and he was trying to roll over. He was on top of the other player, but I do think the elbow got down before he got in the end zone.
Crowd wants him to go more quickly. The time is of the essence here, obviously. Ticking down to 5 minutes in a 3-possession game. And Cousins will try to sneak in, and it doesn't look like it with the naked eye. And he doesn't get in. That's going to make it 4th down and goal.
Boy, the interior 3, they covered up the center and the 2 guards, and they just completely stuffed them. It was going backwards.
Yeah. Well, 4th down and goal, obviously going for it. But this drive has taken a ton of time in a 3-possession game. As Cousins flips it, caught, touchdown, Thielen. So down the field they go 75 yards, 13 plays in over 5 minutes.
Al, watch this route right here. It's just gorgeous. So patient at the top end. I thought he was breaking to the out. Watch this. And just fooled Williams. That is perfect. So many times in those pressure situations, you end up trying to rush everything. But not Thielen. Took his time and got the touchdown.
6th touchdown of the season for Thielen. Bailey's extra point is good, so you have 4:26 remaining in regulation. 30-20. It's 4th and goal. Into Thielen on Sunday Night Football. We waiting all week for Sunday night next week. To Foxborough we go. Patriots, Packers, Rodgers, Brady on Sunday Night Football, and the kick will go out of bounds at the 43-yard line. So they did try a variation of an onside kick, and Bailey punches it out of bounds, giving Breeze and company possession near midfield.
Kickoff out of bounds, kicking team. The ball we placed where the ball went out of bounds. First down, New Orleans.
All right.
It was really a good onside kick. Nobody was able to get a handle on it, but there was a block thrown on the very outside here that didn't allow the outside guy, Jaron Curse, to get there, and I think that was Josh Hill who made the block.
He did. There was only one guy back, and that was Taysom Hill. The Saints' 8th drive of the game, only 1 3 and out, and this one starts with a first down on the first play in all likelihood, as Ingram takes it into Minnesota territory, and they move the chains from the 47-yard line.
That little flip 90 play is just so hard to defend, because when the fullback is on the other side and the quarterback spins out, everything looks like it's going to be something here, take a jab step and come over, and everybody reacts down to it. They always do. That play's been run for decades in the National Football League, and nobody ever really seems to have an answer for it.
Vikings have 3 timeouts. Couldn't take one there because it was a first down. They need a first down, stop 2-3 yards maybe, and then take their timeout. They get it here. Mark Ingram, and he's still chugging his way forward. He takes it down to the 43-yard line, and now the Vikings will take their first timeout with 3:30 left in regulation. Update the standings. So the Saints are 5-1, could go to 6-1. Panthers are 5-2. Atlanta and Tampa Bay each 3-4. Now in the North, if Minnesota loses, they'd be 4-3-1. Chicago won today. They've already had their bye. Green Bay 3-3-1. We get them next week in New England. Meanwhile, here on 2nd and 6, Brees throws, and a little short of the first down is Michael Thomas, and that's going to make it 3rd down and inches.
What part of Drew Brees looks 39 years old to you?
Well, we asked him the other day, I said, how old do you feel? He says some days 25, some days 45.
I bet that's true.
But I'll bet you 25 more often than 45.
25 always seems to come on Sunday.
Right.
I don't know if they would risk him here, but he is one of the best at quarterback sneaks in this situation. He has an opportunity. There's plenty of space.
As good as Tom Brady. So it forced Minnesota not to use a timeout, and now they get the first down. Mark Ingram. I mean, the Vikings were backed up. They were on 2nd and long. They were to take a timeout. Then it's 3rd down and inches. What do? They don't take the timeout, and now it's 1st down. And Minnesota will take a timeout here. You can stop it once more, and then also at the 2-minute warning. Sean Payton. Well,
one pothole at a time. Right. That's what he says. But it's really the absolute truth. And really, it was the potholes tonight of the Minnesota Vikings that kind of gave his team the leg up, let's say. It's not over, but the leg up in this one.
Yep. Who would have guessed? I mean, on a night when Brees throws for 120, and the reason they have a lot more yardage passing is Hill, that one pass was worth 44. That takes it to the 33-yard line. Ingram there, and Vikings will use their final timeout. You know, it's so funny, that schedule came out in April, and we looked at this game and said, wow, you know, that's going to be great.
Yep.
Minnesota, you know, hosting New Orleans. And then we sneaked the peek down to the next week, and there it was. That's the one we really wanted. Green Bay at New England, only the 2nd time that Brady and Rodgers have been on the field together.
Yeah, and you know what it's going to be, right? You hope it ends up being one of those kind of shootout games where you get to see both of them on full display, because you can say anything you want, but the brilliance of those two guys has just been off the charts for their entire career. And I can't wait to watch it, just to be there. I'm thrilled just to be there.
Well, last time we were in Foxborough a couple of weeks ago, that wasn't a bad game either. Kansas City and New England. And at the 35-yard line, Kamara will be taken down. So it's going to be 3rd down and long, but they don't have a timeout. So the next snap will come on the other side of the 2-minute warning.
It's an interesting call, isn't it? Not sure that the field goal means enough at this point to try it from this distance and give them a short field. That's going to be an interesting decision.
Well, they're going to run a play, and that's going to take it down to about 120. Almost in the bag. Not quite. 2-minute warning. So with 2 minutes to go, you got Taysom Hill at quarterback, and he cannot get out of the grasp at the 39-yard line of Danielle Hunter. So that will go into the books as a sack for him, giving him 9 for the season. Aaron Donald came into the week tied with him with 8. And Sean Payton can just watch that clock tick all the way down to about 1:15 or so.
And that made that decision a whole lot easier now, too.
Sure.
Neil Hunter, some athlete, boy.
Well, they're going to say that was a rush, official scoring, and not a pass play. That he was going to run, so take that sack away. Tackle for loss. And the timeout taken here on a 4th and 14. I mean, this is hard to figure. You look at those numbers for Brees. Completion percentage is excellent, as it normally is. But only 120 yards. And yet, on top, and Cousins at 75% and 306 yards through the air.
Well, you know, their 2 best players for the Minnesota Vikings during the course of this year, or 2 of them certainly. Adam Thielen with the big fumble, and Stephon Diggs stopped on the route for the pick 6, and that's really been the difference in the game.
So they'll bring in the punter, Thomas Morstead. Been a Saint for 10 years. Marcus Sherrills is back at the 10-yard line. Nose down. Backspin, fair catch called for and made at the 10-yard line with 69 seconds remaining in regulation.
Well, if you're looking for miracles, you've come to the right place.
I guess.
The one thing that we know out of this team is that the thing that they have done best in the past, or at least last year, was throw those corner routes, and that's exactly what Stephon Diggs caught for the Minneapolis Miracle. Let's see if they start working the boundaries now.
Hey, 5-6.
Well, they don't have a timeout. It's a long way to go. From 9, shoot it underneath. Trying to get to the sideline, but he can't. There's Latavius Murray. And stuff like that is just not going to do it as we're under a minute.
Well, as we well know, and you've talked about it a million times on Sunday and Monday Night Football, you can always take the field goal first, but you got to get about 60 yards to give it a shot.
2nd and 3, and they fire downfield, and that's caught up at the 42-yard line. That's the good news. The bad news is they got to get up to the line, and the clock keeps ticking. Rudolph makes the catch.
You want to spike this one.
Well, you do.
Take a lot of time.
But they don't. A lot of time.
Sunday.
25, 24, 23. Cousins underneath. Murray to the 45. Still way out of field goal range. Got a little shove at the end. But I don't see a flag as P.J. Williams.
Now they're going to wrestle for the ball.
Knocks him down. Officials stop the clock.
Wow, did that work all in the favor of the New Orleans Saints? They got an extra hit late on the ball, and it all worked out.
No, here's a spike. Now you got 6 seconds. So, well, Zimmer wants to know what it was all about.
Yeah, and I know who he was referencing there. It was, you know, and he's right. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, we're not throwing the flag for the hit because he didn't think it was down, but you can't let him lay on the ball when we're going up there and trying to spike it.
So 2nd down with 6 seconds. Likely the final play of the game. A high snap, and Cousins is going to avoid a sack, at least for the moment. Run around, barring a defensive foul. This is the end of the game as Diggs makes the catch at the 38-yard line. Tries to throw the ball away as if they were going to run a Cal Stanford play, but certainly to no avail. As New Orleans wins the game, and the Vikings pretty much shoot themselves in the foot tonight with 2 very crucial turnovers. Saints make it 6 straight wins, firmly atop the NFC South, at least firmly over 2 other teams.